Hey family, happy Saturday. I just wanted to come to you guys and just tell you to have a blessed weekend, okay? It is Saturday. The sun is out. I don't know where y'all at, but where I'm at, the sun is out. It has been raining here lately. And yesterday there was a really, really, really bad thunderstorm. Like when I tell y'all it was shaking the whole apartment, my son was scared. The lightning was shot up against the sky. The thunder was roaring, and you have to know that something is happening big in heaven. Like something is happening big. Like God is turning everything around in your favor, and God has spoken. And whatever is coming up against you will not prosper, but you have to endure. You have to go through. You have to be optimistic, not pessimistic. And it's so crazy because I sat here and obviously I listened to the Bible study on Wednesday after I recorded. When I posted it at 7, I listened to it as well. And then today I actually went back and listened to the original message that I posted about God is strengthening you in the stretch, the story about Joseph. And if you have not read that, I highly recommend, or not read it, but if you have not listened to it or read that story in the Bible, I definitely recommend you read it. And it's so crazy because as I was sitting here listening, I'm like, a lot of things make sense now. A lot of things that was once cloudy is now making sense. And so I just wanted to come on here and tell you guys to be intentional with your purpose. I know sometimes we get so excited about the things that God reveals to us and we get so excited about where God is taking us, but sometimes that excitement has to be held within so God gives you the okay to release it. We see that in Joseph's story. Joseph, and I don't think that he was so excited. He was just curious. And sometimes, it's okay to be curious. And even in Joseph's story, you see that in his curiosity and just trying to get somebody else's opinion about it, he was innocent. He spoke out of innocence. He shared the dreams out of innocence because he didn't really understand it. And it's crazy because sometimes you can speak a purpose or God's destiny about your life to somebody else. You may not fully understand it, but the person you're actually speaking to may very well understand what it is that you're saying. They may not even tell you like, oh, God's saying this, this, and this to you, because they don't want you to walk into the destiny or the purpose or the calling that God has over your life. But let me tell you something that I told, or I've been saying for the longest. God is the person who gives us these dreams, who gives us the desires of our heart, who gives us that idea, who gives us the creativity. So in all answers that you need, please do not seek man. Okay? If God, and I've said this before, if God sends somebody to you with the answer to a prayer, because God will use anything, anybody. He will use a movie. He will use an advertisement. He will use a Bible verse. God is the creator. I told you guys, stop putting God in the box. If you have not listened to that message, I put that out early in the year, and I'll link it into this episode as well. But do not put God in a box. Do not put him in a box. God is the creator of this world. Everything that you see in this world was created. Now, the enemy comes in and he taints it. He takes what God intended for good and uses it for evil. Like I said all the time with the rainbow. There's in the world we're known to know it as pride, but in God, we know it as the covenant that God would not flood the earth with rain like in the days of Noah. So everything there's two sides, and I've said this before, there's two sides to everything. There's a good way and a bad way. There's God's way and there's the enemy's way. So you gotta know that when God gives you these dreams and when God gives you these ideas and these thoughts and this whatever, you gotta sometimes be so curious that you just take that thing to God and allow God to send the right people to you. And you'll know who the right person is, or who, like, you'll be like, dang, I was just praying about that. And, even in that moment, you may not feel led to really say anything because you're like, dang, well, how do they know about that? Because sometimes it could very well be a monitoring spirit. Okay, let's just be real. But, that's where your discernment has to kick in. You have to know that something that me and my sister talked about recently is that a person can be your friend in the physical and be your enemy in the spiritual. Okay. And what I mean by that is a person may claim to be your best friend. A person may claim to be your ride or die, your day one, A1. Okay. The little sayings we say, I'm a younger generation. So for my older generation, I don't know what y'all say, what y'all say? We go back like 4 flats on the Cadillac. Okay. Y'all, it's Saturday, okay? Y'all know I play all day, okay? And let me tell you something. In this, the enemy has been trying to take me, okay? He's been trying to take who I am as a person. And let me tell you something. God created me this way. I'm not finna stop laughing. I'm not finna stop smiling. I'm not finna just lay here paralyzed crippled and in shambles. I will not. That is not who God called me to be. And you need to remind yourself that if you in the house today, sitting there in this, and I'm in my room right now, I just got up, but I'm in my room and I can't see outside the window. My window is not open, but I can see the sun. Like, my room is kind of dark right now, but I can see the sun trying to get in. Get up, open that window and let some sunlight in, okay? Let God into your heart today. Don't be sitting in that house in darkness. Go out that door. Go take a walk. Go do what it is you need to do to get back in the ring to fight. I know that the enemy is chasing us, okay? Let me tell you something. The enemy don't like you, not because it ain't even about you. It ain't even about me. It's about God. The enemy don't like us. The enemy and his people, they don't like us because we love God. Not we like God, we love God. We got a heart for God. We on fire for God. So when we walk out here on purpose for God, the enemy hates that. He hates us, okay? He want us dead. That's biblical. John 10:10. The thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy. He wants to steal your purpose. He wants to steal your voice. He wants to steal your identity. He wants to take it and replicate it in darkness. And now what I'm getting at is you got to be careful who's connected to you, because sometimes the people that's connected to you in the physical are not for you in the spiritual. Sometimes that one that's sitting closest to you, watching your every move, talking about what you're doing and what you're not doing, is the very person that's out here trying to replicate it. And let me tell you something, they don't support nothing you do. But when the enemy comes and give them a whisper of, oh, she thinks she this and she thinks she that, she thinks she can do it better than you, but how about you go do it? Let me tell you something. People out here trying to replicate what you do. People out here trying to replicate the purpose that God put on your life. But let me tell you something. In the midst of that, you let them do what they're doing. You don't worry about them. You worry about the purpose that God put on your life. You continue to focus on you. And that's one thing that I can say about myself, that I ain't never ran over and pulled over into nobody else's lane. So don't you dare put that blanket on and get in somebody else's lane. You continue to move forward. You keep looking towards heaven. You keep looking towards the sun, because the ones that's to your left, to your right, and behind you, watching you, they can't do what it is that God called you to do. You want to know why? Because your destiny is for you. Your purpose is for you. You answered the call. You told God yes. They answering call saying yes, and God didn't even call them. Okay? Hear me when I say this. That job you at, you took that job. God put you there. Nobody, I don't care who recommended you for the job. You applied. You sat in that interview room. You went through the process of being hired, baby. They didn't sit there and the whole time they was interviewing you and you was interviewing them, because you had a choice in to say, do I want this job or do I not want it? You made a decision. And I know that sometimes we get in a place where it's like, oh, I just need a job. And sometimes we sit and we're like, well, dang, Lord, I've been looking for this job and I can't find this job. And da-da-da-da. You go months and months looking for a job and you can never find one. But in that time, you lack nothing. And people around you with a job can't do what you do without a job. So let me tell you something. It's the weekend. The sun is shining. And when I say the sun, I'm talking about Jesus Christ. God is shining his light over each and every one of his children, okay? Do not let the enemy take what it is that God has called you to. And let me tell you something. There's nothing that the enemy can do anyway. So the only thing he can do is try to steal. Let me tell y'all something. When I think about the fact of the matter with everything I'm going through, and I told you guys, you ain't got to say nothing to your enemies. Keep it moving. They reach out to you, respond back. You don't have to let them know nothing. But you keep walking and you keep focusing your eyes on God. And when I sat here and I thought about how many times things have tried to be stolen from me. My car, I told you guys this 1,000,001 times, and I'm sorry if you're tired of hearing it, but I'm going to keep saying it because I want you to know how important what it is that God gives you. I don't care what it is. It could be a cell phone. If God bless you with a cell phone, think about how many times that cell phone came up missing, but you got it back. If God gave you a car, for me, everything that I have is from God, okay? Let's be real. But I've spoken on this plenty of times. My vehicle, I had my previous Kia Soul. I had a Kia Soul. My grandma helped me get it. I didn't want the Kia Soul, but I took it because I couldn't afford to get a car by myself. My credit went A1 day one, okay? My grandma helped me get that car. I hated it, but eventually when you sit in something so long, you start, something that you previously didn't like, you start liking because you get used to it. And that's, settling. Okay? Oops. Pop that bubble. But I'm grateful. You know what I'm saying? Like I like that car. I did not like the car, let's be real. But because I had it and I was grateful, it was a brand new car off the lot. Nothing majorly wrong with it. Never really gave me too many problems. It got me to point A, point B. It was a brand new car. My grandma helped me get it. We didn't have to put too much down for it. The car payment wasn't too much. It was decent. I liked it. It wasn't my choice, but I took it and I was grateful. And what came with it was a lot of turmoil and headache for my grandma. Okay, if you got a grandma, you know how grandmas is. Okay, I love my grandma. She's not here to this day to defend herself, so we ain't gonna keep talking about her. Okay, love my grandma to this day. But I know what comes with getting help from my grandma. And so in getting that car and not allowing God to really, not waiting on God, I ended up settling and going through a lot of turmoil with my car. Like, there was so many things, and I'm not going to talk about it, but if you know me personally, you know the things that I've endured with my previous car. And so it got time for me to pay the car off. I was at my last payment, y'all. And my car started breaking down, which I really didn't understand because I have a mechanic that I go to who really had just did everything over in my car. And I'm like, dang, now I'm finna pay my car off. I'm not finna have no car note. I'm finna be car no less. I'm finna have a payoff car. I got my little baby. We ride around in our little payoff car. So now I can set aside money because, okay, I got other things I want to do. So this is some money I can set aside every month. Okay. And so out of nowhere, I'm driving, me and my sister, we riding, and the car shut off. And I'm just like, what? It's shutting off while I'm driving down the street, literally coming down Monument. It's rolling. Car turned off. So I had to hurry up and crank the car back up. By the grace of God, we got home safely. And in that moment, I realized, okay, I got to get rid of this car. Or I was trying to see what was wrong with it, but I had over 100 and something thousand miles on my car because I had that car when I lived in Atlanta. I used to take that car everywhere. I done drove so many places. I drove back and forth to Atlanta when I lived in Atlanta. Took my family. We went to Savannah, Georgia in that car. Done went to Orlando to and from in that car. Like, that car was on the road, okay? Lil Betsy, she did what she could do, okay? And so when it came time for me, God was like, it's time for you. I'm finna get you a new car. And so I told God, I said, well, God, how you gonna do that? Because my credit I can't afford no car. Like, I could barely afford this car. I'm just not finna pay it off. And my credit not where it used to be. And if y'all know me, y'all know that I used to be a person, like, I can fix my credit to this day, y'all. I just fixed my credit in December of last year, but with everything, me leaving my job and taking transition, I done messed my credit up again. But I ain't worried about that. You want to know why? Because God has given me the wisdom to know how to fix my credit. I fixed it before. When I moved to Atlanta, it was tainted, y'all. When I came back, I don't know, my credit card was probably like in the 400s. Then I got it fixed, put it back in the 700s. Okay, your girl know what she doing when it comes to this credit. That's just one thing. I'm just like, God don't care about no credit. Let's be real. I don't know who needed to hear that, but God don't care about your credit. When it's time for you to go and get what you need to get, God will give you the credit. God is your credit. Let me tell you something. I'm a living testimony of it. The car I have today, my 20, what is my car? 2020, 2021? I can't remember. It's a Sportage, okay? I remember when my Kia Soul, I had a 2015 Kia Soul, brand new. I feel like I had 3 miles on it, okay? Like I said, it's not what I wanted, but I got it and I got help getting it. By the grace of God, I loved it. But when it was time to let it go, I was so stuck onto it and so scared that I'm like, okay, Lord. Because when it was time for me to let it go, my grandma wasn't here. My grandma couldn't help me get no car. I don't have nobody else that can help me get a car. So at this point, I knew that I had to do it by myself. But God said, no, you don't have to do it by yourself. You're going to do it with me. I'm going to get you a new car. And so I said, okay, Lord. So I went to the dealership, tried to trade my car, and y'all, they wanted to give me $200 for my car. And I said, Kia, is y'all crazy? I'm not going to trade my car for $200. Y'all is crazy. I know my car was worth more than that. So I was distraught, y'all. I cried. My sister was like, girl, you need to pull it together. Like, you, for somebody that's the strongest person I know, you was acting like a big baby right now. So we went and got some food. Food made everything better, okay? So we went and got some food, and then we started thinking rational. So I ended up selling my car, getting, a few bands for it. And then I said, okay, Lord, now I had to get rid of my car to get the money I need to get my new car. Yes, I'm carless, but in the midst of that, my sister had a car and she wasn't driving it. So by the grace of God, yeah, I didn't technically have a car for a whole month, but I was using my sister's car. So I didn't have to lack going nowhere. Everywhere and everything I wanted to do, I did it in my sister's car because she wasn't driving her car. She was riding with her boyfriend. So that's just the favor of God. So I got frustrated looking for this new car because I'm like, Lord, okay, I don't know. Like, it's been a month. I need a new car. I can't keep riding her car. I want my own car, or whatever. And so I remember when my Kia Soul broke down, I had a rental and I got a Sportage, right? Love the car. I said, oh, I love the way this sit up. It's so me. I just love it. It's spacious. It's big. I'm a tall girl. I'm 5'9", really probably 6 foot. Okay, let's be real. But I'm tall. My legs is long. I can't be in no car. I need to sit up. I need room to space out my legs. And then I got a baby. My baby is tall. Okay. So at this point I'm just like, okay, Lord, we need something bigger than a Kia Soul. So then I thought about the Sportage. I said, okay, cool. Let me look at the Sportage. But I started getting discouraged because I'm like, okay, this is a more expensive car. It's more than what I can afford. I'm not finding nothing worth purchasing. Da, da, da. And so my aunt ended up telling me about Capital One. So I ended up getting pre-approved for Capital One. So I'm like, okay, it's not that I'm not pre-approved. I'm pre-approved. And I have enough to get this car that I want, but I can't find one that's worthy because, for one, I'm not finna just settle for no car. And I ended up finding a car at Kia. The car was, I want to say that car was like $35,000. My payment was going to be over $600. I got them down to $600, but I didn't want to pay $600. It was fully loaded, this, and that, that. My sister was like, girl, no, we're not settling. Like, you're not getting that car. I know this is the car that God told you that he would get you, but this is not the specific one. So, like I said, we end up leaving, going to eat. I end up selling my Kia Soul, getting money, and then now I'm at this point, I done got pre-approved. I got my amount that I'm going to put down. Now I just got to find a car. So I ended up originally looking for this Sportage, but because I couldn't find a Sportage that obviously made sense, I started looking at another vehicle. So I went to Volkswagen on Phillips Highway, and I was finna get a Volkswagen Taos. All white, brand new, $20-something thousand. Okay, cool. That was somewhere similar in what I paid for my Kia Soul. So I'm like, okay, that'll put me right around the same amount for car note. It was small. It was probably about the same size as my Kia Soul, but I'm like, okay, this makes more sense. Y'all, something told me, let me look at their used cars. I go to the used cars. Why I see the Kia Sportage that I've been looking for a whole month sitting there, practically brand new, 12,000 miles on it, all white, everything I wanted inside. I said all that to say this. Stop doing everything by yourself and invite God in. On paper, I shouldn't have been approved for that car. On paper, I shouldn't have been able to afford that car. But when you show up and you say, God, I trust you and I got faith. I remember being in that rental when my other car was being worked on. And I said, well, I get a next vehicle. This going to be my vehicle right here. I love this car. This is what I would have chose had I would have been able to get my own car. But because I allowed my grandma to help me and I didn't wait on the Lord fully, God graced me in that. He said, even though you took help from your grandma, you're going to go through a little bit. But when you come out of this, I'm going to teach you to trust me. I'm going to teach you to wait on me. And so when I got ready to get rid of that car, it was hard for me because I hadn't got comfortable in settling for something that was less than best than what God had for me. And so I was stuck because I felt like, well, I can't afford to get no car by myself. I done tried in the past. And sometimes your past will have you hindered from where God is trying to take you, because I tried in the past to get a car by myself and I needed a cosigner. And I knew that's why I had to get that Kia Soul with my grandma, because I needed a cosigner. But God said, this ain't your past. I'm your present. I'm in your future. If you just seek me, I will give you everything you need. You want this car, have the faith to get it. And so that's what I did. I said, okay, Lord. I went, got pre-approved. I showed up to that dealership. I told that lady, I said, listen, and I know I've said this story a million times, but I want you to hear it again, because it's treasure in this. You got to trust God. Don't lean on man. Don't settle for getting help from other people, because help from people come with a lot of consequences. It comes with a lot of sleepless nights, okay? Like I said, I love my grandma. But she took me through hell and high water about that car, baby. Anybody that know me knows she took me through hell, okay? But to this day, I literally am driving the car that I told myself that when it was a rental, it wasn't even mine. I said, Lord, when I get a new car, when you bless me with a new car, this is going to be my car. And I'm living proof of that. I'm riding in that car today. Drove it off the lot, 12,000 miles. I wasn't even at the dealership for an hour. I showed up. I made an appointment. I got off work, took my sister's car to go get the car, went by myself, because sometimes you got to go by yourself. Because sometimes the people you carry with you don't have big enough faith to believe in what God said he was going to do for you. I told y'all, when God called you, he ain't calling. This ain't no three-way call. He called you. Go by yourself. Do it scared. Do it alone. And because I got history in the car dealership, I knew what to do. I didn't need nobody helping me. I knew God was my source. So I walked in there. I had already made an appointment with the lady, and I told her, I said, listen, I know I made an appointment to see this Volkswagen Taos, but I said, I've been looking for a car that y'all got on this lot for 30 days, and I finally found it today. I said, and I checked it before I came. It's still here. I said, and I see it out there in the parking lot. So I'm sorry if you was banking on getting a sale with that Taos, but I'm here to tell you that Sportage that's outside, that's mine. I'm not leaving it here until I get it. And so the lady was like, oh. And so she was like, well, she said, fortunately for you, she said, the chaos, you can't even see it because we just got it in and it's in service being service. I said, nobody but God. I said, but that's okay. I don't even need to see it. I don't want to test drive it. It's a nice car, but that ain't for me. I want to go look at this Sportage right here. So she went, got the keys. We test drove it and I fell in love, y'all. I broke down crying because I was like, Lord, this is my car. We went in. I told her, listen, I'm already pre-approved. I did go through their financing just to see if they could give me a better option, but I should have just stuck with what I had. And so I ended up going with Capital One anyway. And so I ended up telling them, like, listen, this one I'm putting down. I'm not putting no more, no less. This is why when my payment said this has already been filtered out, ended up doing my paperwork. I wasn't there for an hour. I got my car. I end up trying to figure out. I think I ended up going to get my sister, or my sister ended up coming to the dealership to get her car. Then I ended up driving my car home. And lo and behold, I locked off the lot with something that technically on paper I shouldn't have been approved for. I knew my credit was shot. I knew that I didn't have the credit to get that car, but God said I don't move off credit. And that's why I said in the beginning, if your credit messed up and you try to do something, when God says it's your time to buy a house, when God says it's time for you to get a new car, when God says whatever it is, because nowadays you need credit for everything, let God be your credit. Learn who to call in the times where you need a miracle, because God will do the very thing that man says you can't do. When you go to the bank and you think about getting a loan and you can't get approved for it because your credit shot, and then you all of a sudden a month later you come out with that same credit or worse credit and you get approved, you got to know that's nobody but God. Trust God enough with your dreams. Stop speaking and asking man. If, like I told you, there's people that God has sent in my life that ask me, like, you need help, what's going on? And even in that moment, I had to go back to God and say, well, Lord, is this help from you, or is somebody trying to pry? And so once I sought God and God said, yes, I'm sending you this help, trust them. And I'm like, okay, I can confide in this person. And they literally sent me help, and they came with no attachments. Let me tell you something. To discern, to know who God sends and who God don't send is how a person acts. When a person puts stipulations on the help that they send, that's not from God. When a person sends you unwillingly help, they don't even need to know the matter. Y'all, I'm getting teary-eyed because let me tell y'all something. I literally sat in jail. Nobody could tell me. Nobody knows fully what happened to me. I sat in jail. My cousin, that's not even my blood cousin that's cousin by marriage, literally sent my sister money, no questions, nothing, because she know who I am. Regardless of what I was painted out to be, she knows me. Sent the money immediately for me to be bonded out. Not only that, we didn't even have all the money to be bonded out, but the person that I chose as my bondsman, because I saw, let me tell y'all something. I sat in that courtroom when I heard my bond was $50,000. I wanted to hit the floor. But instead of hitting the floor and being pessimistic, I got up. I walked out of that room. I went in that room to make a call. But before I picked up that physical phone to call somebody, to call man, I sat and I called up heaven. I made a 911 call. I said, Lord, I need your angels to be commanded over me. Lord, I don't know how I'm finna get out of here, but I know you can make a way. I sat there and I prayed Psalms 91 over myself. And after I said amen, I looked down and a name stuck out to me. The name was Emmanuel. Y'all, what do Emmanuel mean? I need you to tell me, what does Emmanuel mean? God is with us. So boom, I said, okay, Lord, this your will. I'm going to call this person. Don't know this person, never seen this person, don't know nothing about this person. But because names matter, I picked up the phone and I called him. He asked me what was going on, what was my situation. I told him what it was. He said, you got money? I say, no. He said, you got somebody? I said, no, but you can call my sister. Let me tell you what my sister name means. My sister name is Jemiah. Her name means God may protect. Okay, names matter. The man on the phone name is Emmanuel. He get on the phone. He tell me, you know what? He said, he said, how did you find me? I said, I prayed and I saw your name. He said, because names matter. I'm not making this up. This man literally said, names matter. Names matter. God names matter. When you go through whatever you're going through, don't seek out man. Seek God first. Seek the kingdom first, and God will make your path straight. I got on the phone, picked up a phone to call a bondsman that I didn't know nothing about. I never been in jail. Don't know the process. But when I got in that room, I didn't fall to the floor and cry out and pessimisticness. I sat up and I made a call unto heaven. I sent up a 911 call like, God, I need you to get me out of here because you're the only way. You're the only way that I can get out of this. Look down at the paper. The first name I saw was Emmanuel, and I remember that. Emmanuel. God is with us. I picked up that phone. He said, you got money? I say, no. I told him my sister. He said, what's your sister name? I say, Jemiah. He said, because God chose names matter. I said, yes, her name means God may protect. He said, okay, what's her number? I gave him the number. He said, okay, I'm gonna call her. He said, don't you give up, you sit tight and I'll be back to get you. And I said, okay. In that moment I was down because I'm like, Lord, I know my sister don't got 5 bands. But I said all this to say names Names matter. When on the other end, you got people calling talking about, oh, I was gonna and da da da, and such said they was gonna get you out, but they needed you to da da da. The right help don't come with no stipulations. And I've been praying to God that when He graced me with the money to pay back each and every person, or that one person and my sister and her dude. And when I think about my cousin's name, it means advisor, advice, a person that's wise. Names matter, y'all. So remember, when you in trouble, call on God. That's what all this is about. Call on God. He the only one that can get you out, and He will send the right people to you. People that don't need to know the whole story. I had a friend a couple weeks ago reach out to me and send me Matthew 7:7. And I kept saying, well, how she know I'm going through this? How she know? And so I kept kind of like pushing out because I said, well, Lord, I don't know what's going on. And so I prayed again. And the next morning, a couple of days later, I woke up. She sent me another text and she said, is it well? And I told her, I said, you know what? No, it's not well. This is what I need help with. And I was able to trust that, okay, God, you sending her to help me. Because sometimes it get the wrong help comes with the wrong stipulations. And sometimes, like I said, I've been through getting the wrong help. Like I said, I love my grandma to this day, but I know that I should have waited on God to get that car. But because I was grateful and I was humble, God said, okay, I'm going to give you this and see how you do with this. And if you treat this well, I'm going to see when it's time for you to let this car go, if you're going to trust me enough. I shouldn't have got that car. And let me tell y'all, what I was originally going to talk about is how the enemy has literally been trying to steal my car. I know that my car is a blessing from God. I shouldn't have got that car, but by the grace of God, he allowed me to get that car, and He allowed me to pay. That payment was higher than my last car note. I made the same money I was making when I got the previous car, but God said, "I got you." I made the car note. Last year, I don't think I ever talked about this, but somebody tried to steal my car. I had to pay $1,000 to get it back. That was just last year. Now here it is this year. I just paid almost $1,000 to get it out of the pound from when I got into the car wreck with the police officers. $800. The enemy will try to steal what God has given you. That's not just you. That's not just your mental, but the blessings. Told y'all I haven't told y'all, but I'm going through a lot right now when it comes to my son. But God said, you don't have to worry about that. I got you. I bless you with that son. That's your son. You don't have to worry. You don't have to fret. Because you in the lion's den. And yeah, they trying to put you in slavery, but I'm your way out. I'm your exodus. And I said all this to say this. You got to be careful to the ones that's claiming to be your friends. Claiming to be your family. They might be family by blood, but they can be against you in the spiritual. And if you haven't listened to the message I recorded about change perspective, I highly recommend you listen to that. Start paying attention to how people move around you, because you may need to separate from somebody. And it's so funny because I was sitting here thinking about, I said it earlier, where like sometimes you do something and people don't support you. And then when they start supporting you, I remember I had a friend show up recently to support something that I did. And I questioned myself like, well, why this person showing up now? I've been doing this for 7 months. They ain't never showed up before. But now all of a sudden they showing up. They showing up. Let me tell you something. They showing up to see how you do it. They showing up to see what your ministry look like. What your house look like. What kind of car you drive, how your finances looking, what your friend circle look like, what kind of man or woman you dating. They trying to figure out how you do it. Laugh at them, okay? They trying to see how you do it. But let me tell you something. It don't matter how bad they sit and watch you do what you do. They can't duplicate what God made unique. You are unique. Every person is you. My fingerprint cannot be duplicated. I don't care how y'all may clone somebody or nothing. I cannot be duplicated. You cannot be duplicated. My fingerprint is one of a kind. There's nobody's fingerprint out here that's going to match mine. Hear me. You cannot be duplicated. So the ones that's trying to copy what you do, let them. Because God is your vindicator. Let them. It's a sermon that I was watching. I remember it, and he just kept saying, let them. Let them. You got to let them copy you. You got to let them wonder how you exalted. You gotta let them know. Like, let me tell y'all something. And I know this getting a little lengthy. This is my y'all. I'm amped up today because let me tell y'all something. Like I said, I sat here and was listening to that story about Joseph, and a lot of the puzzles to the pieces making sense. And I say, you know what, God, I got to go ahead and tell somebody else because that's what a testimony is. You ain't got to say too much, but you got to say enough for the people that need to hear it to understand what you're saying. And I pray that each and every person that's hearing me know exactly what I hope that it speaks to you. That you know to be careful about the things you share with people and to be careful about the ones you keep closest to you. Watch who you have coming to your house, sitting in your car with you, talking on your phone with you, eating at your table. Come on. When Joseph was sitting at that table with his brothers, they had to be served from Joseph's table. Okay? Catch that in the spirit. They had to be served when Joseph said serve the meal. To the same people that threw him in the pit that originally had plans to kill him. So be obedient. Love your enemies. Bless them. Ask the Lord have grace and bless them. And when they come around you, whatever God leads you to do, you do it. But what I'm saying is be mindful. Because people will literally be around you trying to duplicate you. And let me tell you something. You cannot be duplicated. They start liking the stuff you like and watching what you watch and talking the way you talk and making jokes. Nah. It's crazy, y'all. People crazy. People crazy. I'm laughing because when I think about this, I'm like, Lord, these people are crazy. Like, people will literally out here be trying to duplicate you. Baby, I can't be duplicated. Y'all know I play all day, but I'm so saying I can't be duplicated. You can't be me. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. God made me. God formed me in my mama's womb for me. He formed me to be me. I don't have an identity issue. I'm sorry that you do. Yeah, you gotta tell them sometimes, I'm sorry, baby. Got put on a Louisiana accent. I'm sorry, baby, that you having that issue. But I ain't having that kind of issue. I know who I am in Christ. And I've struggled with that in the past. But even when I had identity issues, I still was able to be myself. People always try to dim my light because of who I was and what I liked. And to this day, I like what I like. I don't like nothing that's popular. I don't like nothing that's hot to me and hot come out. I like what I like. People don't understand that, and that's okay. It's not for everybody. I like what I like. If I like it, that's all that matters. And so I just want to encourage you to just be careful, be watchful, be mindful, and make the right calls. Call the people that God sends into your life to bring you to your destiny, to help destiny. What is it? Destiny helpers. I tell you guys all the time, it's important to have people that push you into purpose. You don't want to have people that push you into purpose because they purpose for you, because they got a plan for you. Nah, the one that got their own plan for you, lead them people to the side. Like I said, when they call, hey, nothing much. All right, now you good? Have a good day. Confuse the enemy, honey. Confuse the enemy. And I just want to tell y'all, don't be sitting in there crying about what somebody did to you. I thought about and I'm gonna end on this, but I thought about one of my favorite shows is Girlfriends. Okay. Y'all, excuse me, because my asthma acting up today. But one of my favorite shows is Girlfriends. I love Girlfriends. I love Sex and the City. Like any kind of sitcom like that. I really love. But my number one is Girlfriends. Like, super funny. I watch it every day. I done seen every episode. Once I have literally the whole season saved because I'm gonna order it. But I love Girlfriends. But I thought about this one episode where Joan was dating this dude, Sean. Right? And Tony was dating a guy from her past, Greg, the painter. Okay? But she was also dating the doctor, Clay. Obviously, Clay brought more to her financially, money. He was a doctor. Greg was living off a hope and a dream, painting, but he really loved Tony. So, Greg, the doctor, no, not Greg, the painter, Clay ended up proposing to Tony. Tony ended up saying yes, but she was in a relationship with Greg, the painter. And so, of course, she ended up confiding to her girlfriends or whatever, and it ended up blowing up or whatever. She ended up catching an STD from the dude, Clay, right? And so she ended up like eventually saying she was gonna call off the wedding and whatever because she really loved Greg. But before she could like brush it on the rug and make it all clean, Greg ended up coming to Joan's house. Joan ended up telling Greg like, yeah, I told her, I'm sorry she broke up with you, because she was saying she was gonna break up with Greg because she wanted to be with Clay. And so, unbeknownst to Joan, Toni never did none of that. She was planning on going back to Greg and breaking it off with Clay, I guess, in her own time. So Greg ended up going to. I hope this makes sense in the end, because I'm like, what the heck am I talking about? But Greg ended up going over to Joan's house, confiding in Joan, and Joan ended up telling Greg like, "Oh, I'm so sorry she broke up with you. I told her to break it off with Clay." And so he like, "Clay? Who is Clay?" Like, she's engaged. He's like, "We've been together." So Greg ended up telling Toni like, he didn't really say like, "Oh, Joan, your friend told me," but he ended up telling her like, "I know about the engagement." And so it came out that she never told Greg about Clay. So at this moment, Joan like, oops, I done talked too fast. And so she ended up trying to cheer her up because it was an honest mistake. She thought Toni did what she said she was going to do. Technically, that was Toni's fault because she said she was going to break it off with the man. And this girl thinking that this man that came up here confined because that's her best friend whole time, she ain't told this man nothing. And ain't told Joan nothing. So, So Joan ended up taking her out of town to the Sinbad Festival or whatever. And so she ended up confiding in Toni, letting her know, like, listen, I'm the reason that Greg found out about Clay. I thought you said da-da-da, but you didn't. So Toni ended up leaving or whatever. And she ends up going back to Joan's house trying to sleep with her man, Sean, or whatever. And in that moment, I thought about, like, all of the episodes. And if y'all are familiar with Girlfriends, you understand what I'm saying. Because at one point, I was like, Joan is the problem. But then I thought about, I'm like, with Toni was the problem. Because Toni, I think about all the times that Joan bailed Toni out. But then in the end, Toni said she had a Fresno account that she never touched. So you allow your friends to bail you out of situations when technically you had the money yourself, but because you didn't want to fall under, you let everybody else bail you out. When her Range Rover was getting repoed, Joan paid for it. When she had her daughter and she wanted to babysit her daughter, she wanted Joan to leave her, her job to babysit. Like, Toni was a person who didn't take accountability, and she wanted everybody else to pick up her slack. And in that moment, when I realized that Toni was willing to sleep with this girl boyfriend to get back at her, and that was in that moment where I realized Toni was never a friend. And this was her best friend. Because when you look at it, Joan was innocent. She didn't know she was talking to me. I mean, Joan got a big mouth. I mean, but that could have been any one of us. If you say you finna call off with this man at my house talking about how you done did this and this, I'm thinking, okay, he done broke up with you. Whole time you ain't broke up with him because you still over there playing with Clay. That's your problem. I'm innocent. I made a mistake and I didn't want to tell you because you're hurting. I don't want to add fuel to the fire. But eventually, before it got too far, she told because she was finna marry one of the Terrell Davis. She was finna marry him because she was hurting. Joan, as a friend, cared about her, said, no, you can't do that. I understand you hurt, but you can't do that. And I want to tell you why you can't do that, because I'm the reason. I spoke too soon. I opened my mouth. I made a mistake. I'm the reason that you and technically she ain't really the reason that she lost Greg. Toni is the reason she lost Greg because she was cheating with Clay. And so I said all this to say this. I know y'all like, girl, what? You done broke down the girlfriend sermon I did. Because God is the creator of everything. He creates entertainment, okay? Story message line is Toni was never her friend. Never her friend. And in the end, Joan she started picking up Toni ways and getting, above herself. But all in all, Toni was never Joan's friend. But I said all that to say, sometimes we hold on to Toni's. We call them our best friend. We call them our best cousin. Our day one A1s. And the whole time they ain't ever been for us. I mean, that's just a simple analogy because some people, like I said, there's sometimes I'm just like, okay, Joan, you kind of the problem. But then when I look at it, I'm like, no, we're all human. We make mistakes. But I just use that analogy. Like, let's not look at the whole series. But that moment, a true friend would have never did that. A true friend would have stood up for accountability and said, you know what? I understand you made a mistake. I understand you talk too much. You don't know how to hold freaking water. But I understand also that this is my problem. I was with another guy. And I said I was going to do one thing and I didn't. So you guys were left in the dark. And this man came to your house confiding in you. But to go back and try to sleep with her man, and then she wasn't even sorry about it, y'all. She wasn't sorry. Tony was not sorry. And then my thing is, too, let's look at this. That ain't the first time this girl done, like, she was talking to the dude. What was his name? Charles. In the first season. She brought that man to this man that Joan broke up with because he didn't want to get married and settle down. Tony was talking to this same man, brought this man to Joan's house at her birthday dinner. Embarrassed her. So I'm telling y'all better get rid of Tony. Get rid of Tony. Let Tony go. Nah, that's the second man she done took from you. Let Tony go. Okay? So I hope you guys found this good. Like I said, I don't know where the girlfriend's analogy came from, but I just want to let it be known that some of us, we carry Tonys. I mean, I could sit here, I could talk about girlfriends all day long, but in this moment, Tony is the one that matters. Because we got a lot of Tonys in our life that we calling friends and family members and co-workers, and the whole time they smiling in your face trying to take your place. So I hope you have a great day out on purpose. Hopefully my girlfriend's analogy didn't spin over your head. If you don't know what girlfriends is, then that's okay. Don't worry about it. Just stop the message, okay? But I love y'all. Today is Saturday. Go out and live your life on purpose. I don't care if you ain't got no money. Go shop. Go look around. Go look at some stuff that you would buy if you had some money. Like, don't sit at home and be in darkness. Just get out the house. Smile. Be grateful because you're living today. God woke you up this morning because you have a purpose and a calling on your life. I don't know what you're going through, but I tell you what, there's somebody else going through something worse. So let's be grateful for where we're at. My situation ain't too sunny, but I'm grateful because it could have been a lot worse. So I'm grateful for the grace that God has over me. Be grateful today. That's what this podcast is about. Remain grateful because it makes you gorgeous. People ain't gonna know how to take you because when it looks like you're losing it all, you still smiling through it. You still walking through it. But you know why? Because of God's grace. Because you have that grace and favor over your life. So get out there and shine today. Bye.